Hello and welcome to another edition of the Get Growing weekly work session. Today is a training that builds upon the first in our three-part series on how to put yourself out there. This is a really common question that we get frequently, and it's probably one that you have struggled with yourself at some point along the way. How on earth do I put myself out there? What do I say? What do I post? How do I frame what it is that I'm doing in a way that will have others inspired to take action? We are going to build upon this. But first, if you did not catch part one of this training, I want you to pause this video and click the link below it so that you can catch up. This is a training that builds upon itself. So make sure that you have caught that training and you are up to speed before you get moving with this one. Really important. Now, one of the things that we did cover in that first training is that getting yourself out there up here with the big red arrow, this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? This is here's what I'm going to post on Facebook today, or here is what I'm going to post on Instagram or on a blog or a video on YouTube and so on. What am I going to say to whom and how? What am I doing today? That's getting out there. But what is beneath the depths of that tip of the iceberg is the strategy. And that's what we began working on last week when we uncovered the why and the who of getting yourself out there. So, why you are on this mission to share Young Living and its products, this lifestyle, and who you are uniquely called to help and serve along that journey. Now, today we are going to get into the how and the what, right? So, what it is that you do to help someone and how you go about doing it. And just so you know, this isn't as clear cut as simply showing someone and sharing and selling essential oils. No, if you tapped into last week's training at all, then you understand that this is a part of a much bigger journey for you, a much bigger meaning for you. And it's really important that we are clued into what those things are so that when we get ourselves out there, the message that we put out to the world is effective and actually does what you want it to do, right? So who here would really love to spend a whole lot of time just guessing and hoping, right? When the opportunity is there and the alternative is there for you to be strategic about this and to have this really make sense in a way that can be of great use of your time and of great effectiveness so that you can not only build this business, but make a huge impact along the way. All right, so today we're going to talk about what you've got to offer and how you can help that person that you are uniquely called to serve. Remembering that this is not about the transaction. This is not about selling an oil or getting someone on the PV promo or even selling the kit. This is about a transformation. This is about you thinking and realizing and being the force of transformation in someone else's life. If we can become that, then the transactions follow. So this is a really important mindset shift to embody here at the outset. And also, this is really, really important, you guys, because of the language you're going to be using here. If you do not know the strict and important language rules around compliance when sharing Young Living, it's very important that you are in touch with that. What I want to put out here as a caveat is that what we are discussing right now and what we discussed in part one is an internal process. We are not talking about literally exactly what you are going to post online right away. This is what we're doing, our homework, if you will, to figure it out, our rough draft before our published final. All right. So what we share online, like I just mentioned, tip of the iceberg, that's getting out there. Our internal process, this figuring out and spelling out of the who, the why, the what, and the how is our internal process. Remember, as we are talking about the internal process in this training, I'm going to have red letters that remind you of this. We are not necessarily always going to be using compliant language. You have to make sure that what is out here above this waterline, this tip of the iceberg, is compliant language. Really important that we remember that, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. We want to get a clear picture first. All right. So again, just red letter reminder, guys, your internal process may include some non-compliant language in order for you to better describe your journey in a way that makes sense to you. And then we're going to cover some compliant ways to share your story in subsequent steps. All right. So it all begins with your mindset. And going back to that transformation over transaction, our motivation is not to sell Young Living products. Our motivation is to help someone, to facilitate for someone a lifestyle shift, right? Which one of those outcomes is more helpful to you after all? Which one is more helpful to the person that you're called to serve? Having a single transaction where someone buys a kit or an oil, or facilitating a transformation wherein someone commits to significant change in their life so that they can see the full benefit of adopting these practices and these products for the betterment of their health and well-being, right? So, in which one of those two options, transaction or transformation, selling oils or lifestyle shift, which one of these two resonates more with your why? Obviously, it's the latter, right? So now you know your why and your who, if you followed our first step training. Now you know your why you're doing this and who you are set out to help along the way. It's time to talk about what we can do to create a transformation, how we uniquely are able to facilitate a transformation in someone else. All right. So start with your why and your who. And this will look a little familiar to you, although I have adapted this just a little bit further so that you can see some more compliant uses of language here. So you might have noticed in week one, we talked about someone who is suffering, as an example, someone who suffered with digestive issues, but more specifically food allergies and food sensitivities, right? One of the more compliant examples you can actually use here is digestive issues. There's a whole host of compliance material that we are not qualified to cover in its entirety. Have a look rather at the link below the video if you want to get a deep dive into the hot words and what you can and can't use, what you put out to the world. But for your purposes, as you practice, you write down your why statement. Use the language that makes sense to you. And then once you're clear on all of these, who, what, why, and how, then you take that statement and turn it into a compliant one. Okay, so this is our internal work. Starting with our why, as someone who used to suffer with debilitating digestive issues, you are now out to show the world that it's possible to break free and experience wellness and fulfillment. Now, an example of the who. Women and their families who are struggling with digestive issues and the emotional toll of these conditions, who have tried to figure out a better way and haven't yet found the right support and resources. Do you see the qualifiers in the who here? Women and their families, right? So this is a set of people or a very specific set of people, if you just wanted to say women or children, struggling with digestive issues and the emotional toll of those conditions, who have tried to figure out, right? So these are people who are aware of what they're experiencing and need help. They're looking for it. All right. This is who you're looking for. You're looking for people who have dealt with something that you've dealt with, who are currently looking for a better way. All right. Now let's get to the what. This ties into the why. This ties into the who. Okay. Remember, this is a part of our internal process. This will not necessarily be compliant for sharing. And when you're doing this, it might not be either, but just go through the process. Now you write down your what. What do you do? I help women and their families who are struggling with digestive issues to finally break free and take control of their wellness journey. Where compliance is concerned, this is at the line or right above it, right? This is pretty close to permissible, if not wholly permissible from a compliance perspective. I help women and their families who are struggling with digestive issues to finally break free and take control of their wellness journey. Now, if you are someone who in this example is someone who has struggled with digestive issues and you were able to break free and take control of your journey, are you not qualified to point someone in the direction that you went, right? If you are sitting here and your head is spinning right now and you're saying, wait a minute, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a health coach, how can I do this? How can I go out there and say I can help someone? Listen, you don't have to be a doctor or a practitioner or even a subject matter guru to help someone who's going through something that you have been through. At the end of the day, you aren't promising to cure or heal or fix what they're dealing with. I mean, that would be unethical and non-compliant, right? We can't promise a cure or promise to heal. Even health professionals can't do that, right? What you can do is to provide support, guidance, and leadership and helpful information to someone who has experienced something similar to you, to empower someone to follow your lead and to realize the kind of results that you did. So, what's your product story? And if it's not a product story, what is the story of your journey from A to B? What what is the bigger journey that you've been on where you have made significant realizations that have improved your life, right? That have maybe relieved you of symptoms or issues. Again, remembering when you make your compliant version of that, you're not going to talk about the hot words, but what is a thing that you used to suffer with that you no longer do, that factors into this bigger part of the journey that you're on, that maybe these products help to facilitate, right? What's a problem that you had that you solved or that you are well on your way to solving, right? What's a problem that you can help someone with right now? And I promise you, you have one because it's a problem that you've already solved for yourself. It can be incredibly simple, you guys. Just go back and look. Where were you before you got to point B where you are today? Where were you before you found these products, before you found the journey that you were on that led you to saying yes? Okay. The what of your strategy, right? The depth beneath this iceberg, the what of your strategy is to help your who solve a similar problem to yours and help them to get a similar result. So now let's talk about how we can help create a transformation. Now, thinking back to that problem that you had, that you've solved, or that you have come pretty darn close to figuring out. Thinking about something that you really struggled with, it was very difficult for you, that you now see ease with. Your journey looked like this top one here, getting from point A to point B. And someone out there right now, many people, in fact, are looking for a clearer path from A to B, and they are confused, and their line looks like this squiggly one. You can help someone get from A to B more directly. That's how we need to be thinking about this. It's not that complicated because at the end of the day, you're not prescribing the end all to a symptom or a disease or what have you. You are simply helping someone solve a problem in a way that you did with the credibility that I was able to get a result. Here's the steps that I followed, right? So, how can you help someone get from A to B more easily? What you want to do, looking from where you are today, trace your steps backward toward that place where you were when you were struggling and make an outline. Like make a literal outline like you used to make in school. So here we go. Here's an example of an outline that you might use, again, for your internal use. First, what are some of the how factors of how you might actually go about supporting someone along their journey to relieve themselves of a problem that you relieved yourself of? Well, here's some basics. You know they need to get their premium starter kit, right? You know that Essential Rewards is the way to go so that they can get what they need. You know that one-to-one, meaning your support, and group support as well, and monthly calls where you check in and make sure that they've got their order and that they're prepared to get the next round of things that's going to be helpful to them, right? That how. And then you start getting into your specifics. Maybe along your journey, sticking with our first example of someone who used to suffer with food allergies and sensitivities, who now is symptom free and is able to eat the things that they used to, right? How did you start if this was you? Did you start with clean eating and supplements? Maybe you used Ningxia Red. Maybe you drank it every day. Maybe you started taking Essential Zyme and it helped you to digest foods that at the time, at that level of inflammation, were difficult for your body to process. And then what if you actually, from there, started integrating essential oils and maybe some breathing exercises into your routine? Did you use peppermint vitality internally to settle your gut? Did you use lavender, sandalwood, frankincense, or any number of different oils that might have worked well for you in your diffuser? Did you start addressing toxins in your personal care products along the way? At what point did you ditch and switch? And what was the difference that it made for you when you did? What about your household products? Your personal products, your household products, your pet products, starting to take just one brick at a time. What were the things that you put in place? Take those steps, walk them backwards so that you can give someone a starting point. We're going to get your premium starter kit. And then we're going to get you set up to follow the path that I did. And I am here to support you at every step of the way. This obviously is not the end all, right? but I'm here because I was able to achieve something and I want to help you do the same. Make sense? Now, see how easily the premium starter kit and essential rewards can make perfect sense to your prospect when you break it down like this? They're necessary pieces of a puzzle that you personally know how to solve, right? Now, let's put these pieces together, right? So, putting together the why, the who, the what, and the how, so that we're ready to start putting ourselves out there in a way that makes sense, that connects, and that makes someone want to take the next steps with you when you're sharing. All right. So, we're going to put this into a compliance statement. This is the message that is going to drive the what and how of what you put out to the world publicly. All right. Now, if you recall from our previous trainings, we start with why. This is a training that I credit to Simon Sinek. He wrote a book called Start with Why. It's a really powerful way of communicating. Now, here is our why. After struggling for years with debilitating digestive issues, I discovered a path to wellness. Now, I'm on a mission to help families like mine finally feel like themselves again. Pretty powerful, right? Through one-on-one and community support and personalized recommendations, I help women and their families navigate their own digestive wellness journey. You can start your journey today for as little as $165 and get a 24% discount on all the therapeutic grade products I use and recommend. Are you ready to get started? How powerful is that? Think about how much easier it will be for your prospects to understand the real transformative value of getting started with their premium starter kit and essential rewards. When you break it down this way, right? It looks like it's more expensive at this point to not get started right now, right? Now, are you excited to put this approach to work for you and your business? Next week, we are going to begin the process of getting ourselves out there. So make sure that you have gone through the steps in training 1 and this one, training 2, understanding your why, your big why, who you really are called to serve, what it is that you want to do to help them, and break down the steps of how you want to help them get from A to B. Then work out the compliant language and put it into that why statement, starting with why, then the what, then the how, right? Have it there. And that is going to be the thing that guides the language that we use moving forward. Now, if you want to see the next week's training, if you want to see all of our future trainings, make sure that you head over to getoiling.com/weekly work session to sign up. You can join us live and get help and get advice on these live calls, and of course, get access to all of the recordings to help you grow your Young Living business. We are so excited to have served you with this training today, and we can't wait to see you on the next one.